I went to Catholic school for 13 years of my life. So growing up, I heard about God and all He does, but I didn't believe any of it. My family life was almost non-existent. We barely spoke to each other. We wouldn't even eat dinner at the same table. So inside, I became lonely and depressed. Because I was feeling lonely and depressed and having nobody to talk to, I just started considering ending it all. And most days started becoming thoughts of today would become a great day to end it all. And time just continued, and all they were just thoughts. I remember I came home, I went to my room and locked the door behind me like I had done so many days before. But it was just the breaking point for me, and I had a rope and I made a slip knot and put it around my neck. And it didn't end the way I wanted it to. All I did was just pass out. After that, I just became more and more depressed. I just surrounded myself with darkness. I painted my room black. I didn't want to see any light. I just thought things felt like they were getting worse. My family was fighting more. And finally, that broke and my parents got divorced. After my parents got divorced, I continued to live with my mother, who at that time was on 17 different kinds of prescription drugs. And my sister, she was just going down the wrong path. And she would bring people over every day. I didn't even know who they were. So I became a guest in my own home. And finally, those people that she had over, they robbed us a few times. I just snapped and left. I ended up going to my father's house, and I lived with him for a while, but we didn't really get along either. And again, I just still felt so lonely because I still had nobody to talk to. I couldn't talk to him. I had stopped talking to my mother, and I just sank deeper and deeper into depression. I remember one day again coming home from school, and I was just so depressed, so lonely. It was another week gone by. Didn't feel like anybody cared. It was just the same loneliness and depression that I had been feeling. And again, it just overwhelmed me, and I just wanted to end it all again. And I had brought my noose with me to my father's house, and again I put it around my neck, and I swore that was going to be the end of it, that I was just going to end it all. And again I put it around my neck, but things just were not going right for me, and I couldn't even take my own life. I had no purpose. I was a failure. I couldn't do anything right. Couldn't even take my own life. And that's when I met this girl, Jessica Libby. For some reason, as long as I can remember, I would get my hair cut at the same place, and she became the person who started cutting my hair after a while. And every time I went and saw her, she always had this smile on her face and was always so happy. And she would just invite me to this place called The House. It was a college and young adult group at her church. But I would just blow her off with some lame excuse, and every time I'd go see her for over a year, it was, hey, can you want to come to our youth group this Sunday? It'd be really cool. You'll meet some cool people. But again, I'd just blow it off. This one time, after I got my hair cut when I was leaving, She actually invited me to go bowling with some of the people from the group, and she asked me for my number, so I gave it to her. And that Friday, I actually got a text message, bowling tonight, Galaxy Lane, 7 o'clock, hope to see you there. And I remember wanting to not go, to blow them off again, but I ended up going, and I actually had a pretty good time. I didn't really speak to anybody, but it was a lot of fun. And as we were leaving, they all invited me to the house that Sunday night. So when Sunday came, I remember thinking I wasn't really going to go, but then again I wanted to because I had such a good time on Friday. And I went to the house, and that was the first time I ever went to the house. I sat back in the back, as far away from everyone as I could. I didn't really want to speak to anybody. I was still feeling lonely. I didn't know anybody there other than Jessica, and she ended up introducing me to a few people, and it's actually where I met my best friend Tyson, was at the house, and we've been hanging out ever since. And I just kept going back every week, and finally 2 months after going, I just felt something pulling at my heart so strong. I knew that everything that had happened over those last 2 months was not of my doing. And at the end of the message that night, Pastor Alex asked if anybody wanted to become right with God, to ask for that forgiveness. And I did. I asked for it. And ever since then, everything is just so great. I'm actually happy now. I don't think about wanting to end life because I actually have a purpose. For 13 years, I learned everything there was to know about God. And I just didn't believe it. But now I know there is a God. I have friends. I have family. I couldn't have asked for anything more. And I just can't wait to see what's in store for my life next.